Hi there everybody, and welcome to my video on my 12 most successful trout flies. For instructional videos on how to tie all these flies, check out my playlist, Flies I Tie. The link is in the top right of your screen. For materials for tying these flies, please check out my affiliate links in the description. If you enjoy the video, please consider subscribing and ring the bell for notifications of future tying and fishing videos. Coming in at number 12 is the Hot Wire Prince Nymph. Combination of the Copper John and the classic Prince, this fly is my favorite for high and dirty water situations because of all the flash. It can also be tied with a fair amount of weight, which helps it to get low fairly quickly. While this particular fly is tied in gold, I do tie the Hot Wire Prince Nymph in copper and chartreuse as well. Color tends to be seasonal. Rainbow trout really seem to like this fly, and I find the key things are all the flash that it carries, as well as the soft hackle collar, which seems to give it a lot of movement. It acts as a great stonefly imitation, but the soft hackle can also make it look like a bit of a caddis pupa. Next up on my list is my Parachute Blue Wing Olive, which I tie with foam to give me a little extra flotation. Also gives me the ability to suspend a small dropper. For the tails, I used to use horsetail fibers, but have now switched to the bristles from a paintbrush, which give me a bit better taper. All types of fish like this fly in olive, with the gold ribbing, but cutthroats really like it tied with purple. And as you can see in the video below, even big fish will rise for this very small fly. While it's not the prettiest fly I tie, what it lacks in appearance, it makes up for in functionality. Number 10 on my list is my Quillimodo Foam Yellow Humpy, which also falls into the not pretty but functional category. Typically I use this as an indicator fly. If fish are kind of rising but not taking on the surface, I use this to suspend a nice big nymph dropper, which typically works very well. When large mayflies like brown or green drakes are hatching, the fish will rise and take it off the surface. The quill body underneath really helps to make it look more realistic. Of course, no fly fisherman's fly box is complete without a whole bunch of pheasant tails in it. I tie both styles, the bead head, which you see enlarged, and the classic, which you see in the lower left. I use the bead head mostly for tightline nymphing rigs. Occasionally I'll use it in a indicator rig, but for the most part these are just a great kind of never fail fly when you're not sure what to use. I have caught more whitefish on pheasant tails than I can possibly tell you. It's just one of those classic never fail flies. Next up is the only streamer on my list, the Baby Rainbow, which I tie both articulated as well as non-articulated. The one you see in the video here, you're probably thinking, Kirby, that fly looks kind of beat up. And it is. I've used this particular fly a lot. And it landed me, as you can see below right, my largest bull trout. It's just a great fly. It's got lots of action. It's got lots of flash. It's heavy, tied with lots of weight. The beads in the middle can give it a bit of a rattling sound while it's going through the water. All things that really trigger strikes from big, hungry fish. What fly do you fish in the fall? Midges. What fly do you fish in the winter? Midges. What fly do you fish in the summer? Big hairy dries and midges. Why do we fish midges? Because they always work. They're always available. Mostly through the winter months, I'll use these as basically droppers in Euro nymphing rigs. But through the summer, I'll use them as droppers in a dry dropper rig. I usually tie them with glass beads. Occasionally, I'll tie them with something heavier if it's going to be for Euro nymphing. But they're just a great fly that works all the time, regardless of the variety. One of the most common questions I get asked is, what is your favorite fly to fish? For me, it's a no-brainer. It's the foam bodied stimmy. I love to fish this fly because it's big, it's easy to see, takes are aggressive, I can suspend big droppers under it, and I can tie it in a variety of colors. Yellow, I can give it legs to make it look more like a hopper, I can tie it in brown or black. It's just so easy to see and so fun to fish. You can suspend big droppers underneath it, but the key is tie it with foam. Gives it extra flotation. Even when it starts to get wet and it's been out there a while, it'll still float, it'll still work. It's a great fly. Now, I have to give credit where credit is due. I got the idea for this fly from a fellow YouTuber by the name of CJ Fishnuts. It's just an excellent emerger imitation. Why Stoutly? Because the first time I tied it, I was enjoying a stout craft beer. But it's just a great fly when fish are being incredibly picky. the back of it sits a little bit below the surface, acting as a trailing shuck. The big paintbrush and horsetail tails support it and let it sit flat on the top of the water. And it's one of those things that triggers strikes even from big fish when they're being really, really picky. Next up is my Miracle Caddis, another fly that I can't take credit for. The miracle part is because I found one stuck on my boot one day when I was walking through some tall grass. I tie mine with foam. That's the change I made to the one that I found. Gives it a lot of flotation and gives me some choices in colors, which are seasonal, green earlier on and orange in the fall. A high floating fly, can suspend big droppers, and just does a great job of attracting fish. You can see in the video below here that I've used it to catch my old friend a couple of times. Making the podium in the bronze medal position is my Midlife Flysis Never Fail Stonefly. The key to this is realism. It just looks a lot like a real stonefly. The rubber legs give it a lot of action, the dubbing gives it that kind of gillish look, and the thin skin over the back makes it just look like a real stonefly. I tie it in black earlier on in the season, and I tie it in obviously the golden color, kind of June on, to imitate stoneflies. This thing has caught me a ton of fish. In the silver medal position is my best dry fly, the Quill-bodied Mayfly. I tie this again with the paintbrush tails and stripped peacock quill for the body, for the abdomen. It's pretty heavily hackled, and I'll either use wood duck, mallard flank, or deer hair. This one in particular is tied with deer hair for the wings. Floats pretty high and is incredibly good when fish are being picky. It's just that fly that you use. It's a confidence fly. It's not that hard to tie, but make sure you get either synthetic quills, which I'm going to try soon, or you strip them carefully. Without a doubt, the Midlife Flysis Dog's Breakfast is my best fly. A quill-bodied nymph. I use chemically stripped peacock quill, pheasant tail legs, and wood duck for the tail. I tie it bead head or non, as you can see there. This is just a fly that has caught me so many fish. It's a confidence fly. It's on my rig, dry dropper or Euro nymph, probably 90% of the time. It's just a fly that catches fish for me every time. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like or subscribe. Comments, I read and answer them all. Share them with your friends. If you're looking for guided fly fishing trips in southern Alberta, I'm going to be doing that. You can get a hold of me at midlifeflysis@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter at midlifeflysis. Hope you all have a great summer. Tight lines.